working? We begin with the recitation of the Holy Quran by Hafiz Mubarak Ahmed Hukuyi. Hafiz Mubarak Ahmed.
من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الله نور السماوات والأرض مثل نوره كمشكاة فيها مصباح المصباح في زجاجة الزجاجة كأنها كوكب دري يوقد من شجرة مباركة زيتونة لا شرقية ولا غربية يكاد زيتها يضيء ولو لم تمسسه نار نور على نور يهدي الله لنوره من يشاء ويضرب الله الأمثال للناس والله بكل شيء عليم في بيوت أذن الله أن ترفع ويذكر فيها اسمه يسبح له فيها بالغدو والآثار رجال لا تلهيهم تجارة ولا بيع عن ذكر الله وإقام الصلاة وإيتاء الزكاة يخافون يوما تتقلب فيه القلوب ما عملوا ويزيدهم من فضله والله يرزق من يشاء بغير حساب.
Translation of this portion of the Holy Quran to be read by Masood Ahmed.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Translation is from verses 36 through 39 of chapter Al-Nur of the Holy Quran, which means the light. Allah says, Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth. The similitude of his light is as a lustrous niche, wherein is a lamp, and a lamp is in a glass, and the glass is, as it were, a glittering star. It is lit from a blessed tree, an olive, neither of the east nor of the west, whose oil would well nigh glow forth, even though fire touched it not. Light upon light. Allah guides to his light whomsoever he wills, and Allah sets forth parables to men, and Allah knows all things full well. This light is now lit in houses with regard to which Allah has ordained that they be exalted and that his name be remembered in them. Therein is he glorified in the mornings and in the evenings, by men whom for them neither merchandise nor traffic diverts them from the remembrance of Allah and the observance of prayer and the giving of zakat. They fear a day in which hearts and eyes will be agitated, so that Allah may give them the best rewards for their deeds and give them increase out of his bounty. And Allah does provide for whomsoever he pleases without measure.
A few verses from a poem by Hazrat Masih Maud al-Islam, the founder of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, will be recited by Kaleem Ahmed Bhatti. Kaleem Bhatti, please.
है शुक्र रब्बे अज़ा वजल खारी जज़ बयां है शुक्र وقت زندہ تھے وہ سب ہوئے ہرے، پھل اس قدر پڑا کہ وہ میووں سے لد گئے، پھل اس قدر پڑا کہ وہ میووں سے لد گئے۔ اے سونے والو جاگو کہ وقت بہار ہے، اے سونے والو جاگو کہ وقت بہار ہے، اب دیکھو آ کے در پہ ہمارے وہ یار ہے۔ اے سونے والو جاگو کہ وقت بہار ہے، اب دیکھو آ کے در پہ ہمارے وہ یار ہے۔ دیکھو خدا نے ایک جہاں کو جھکا دیا، دیکھو خدا نے ایک جہاں کو جھکا دیا، گمنام پا کے شہرائے عالم بنا دیا۔
Please refrain from these naras, please. Let people enjoy the meaning of the poems of Hazrat Masih Maud Salam, which should not be disturbed, no, should not be interrupted, please.
دیکھو خدا نے ایک جہاں کو جھکا دیا، گمنام پا کے شہرائے عالم بنا دیا، گمنام پا کے شہرائے عالم بنا دیا۔ جو کچھ میری مراد تھی سب کچھ دکھا دیا، جو کچھ میری مراد تھی سب کچھ دکھا دیا، میں ایک غریب تھا مجھے بے انتہا دیا، میں ایک غریب تھا مجھے بے انتہا دیا، ایک قطرہ اس کے فضل نے دریا بنا دیا، ایک قطرہ کے فضل نے دریا بنا دیا میں خاک تھا اسی نے سریا بنا دیا میں خاک تھا اسی نے سریا بنا دیا میں تھا غریب و بے کسو گمنام و بے ہنر میں تھا غریب و بے کسو گمنام و بے ہنر کوئی نہ جانتا کہ ہے قادیاں کدھر کوئی نہ جانتا تھا کہ ہے قادیاں کدھر لوگوں کی اس طرف کو ذرا بھی نظر نہ تھی لوگوں کی اس طرف کو ذرا بھی نظر نہ تھی میرے وجود کی بھی کسی کو خبر نہ تھی میرے وجود کی بھی کسی کو خبر نہ تھی اب دیکھتے ہو کیسا رجوع جہاں ہوا اب دیکھتے ہو کیسا رجوع جہاں ہوا ایک مرجع خواص یہی قادیاں ہوا ایک مرجع خواص یہی قادیاں ہوا ہے شکر رب عز و جل خارج از بیان جس کے کلام سے ہمیں اس کا ملا نشان جس کے کلام
Translation of what has been recited before you will be read by Ali Murtaza. Ali Murtaza, please.
I find no words to thank the Lord of eminent glory and majesty. We have come to know Him through His own word. The time of autumn is changed now into the spring season. A soft breeze is blowing, a special gift from God. All the living trees are nourished to become green. They're laden with fruit that they bore abundantly. Oh, those who are still asleep, awake, come and see that our God, our friend, has come to our door. Look for yourself. God has made a world inclined to me. I was an unknown person, but he made me famed in the world. He gave me everything that I desired for. Poor was I, but he made me and gave me all in all. Through his special grace, a single drop is now a mighty river. Dust was I, but he lifted me and made a Pleiades of brilliant stars. I was poor, helpless, unknown, without any skill. No one even knew where Kadayan was located. No one cared to look towards this way. No one was even aware if I existed or did not. But now you see that the world is turning towards this direction, and this Kadayan became a gathering place of elite. I find no words to thank the Lord of eminent glory and majesty. We have come to know him through his own word.
Jazakumullah. Brother Muzaffar, please.
I begin in the name of Allah, the gracious and most merciful. Your Holiness, members of the dais, we have received a citation from the Governor of the State of Maryland, Mr. Paris Clendenning, and it reads as follows. The State of Maryland, Governor of the State of Maryland, to the Ahmadiyya movement in Islam, greetings. Be it known that on behalf of the citizens of this state, in recognition of the commitment to medical missions and humanitarian endeavors that your community has demonstrated on a local, state, national, and international level, in honor of your 48th annual national convention, which is being held at the Batur Rahman Mosque, and as an expression of our warm regards and sincere best wishes for continued success in the days and years to come, we are pleased to confer upon you this governor's citation, given under my hand and the Great Seal of the State of Maryland, this 30th day of June, 1996, and signed by the Honorable Governor. Your Holiness, may I present this to you? May I present this to you? Thank you.
Thank you so much.
In addition to the governor's citation from Maryland, we also have received a governor's citation from the state of Michigan. We have received proclamations from the Honorable Congressman Elijah Cummings the city of Laurel, the city of Capitol Heights, the city of Tacoma Park. We have received congratulatory letters from the Vice President, the Governor of Alabama, Maryland House of Delegates, the Governor of Iowa, Governor of Nebraska, Governor of Texas, Governor of Virginia, and Governor of New York. It is my pleasure to introduce at this time Congresswoman Connie Morella, Maryland 8th District. Congresswoman Connie Morella, re-elected in 1994 to a fifth term, represents Maryland's 8th District. Congresswoman Morella has been active in international and human rights issues. She represented the United States at the UN Conference of Population and Development in Cairo and co-chaired the congressional delegation to the UN Fourth World Conference of Women held in Beijing. A resident of Montgomery County for 40 years, Congresswoman Morella lives in Bethesda. I am now honored to introduce the Honorable Connie Morella, Congresswoman of the 8th District of Maryland. And if I have mispronounced your name, please forgive me.
Thank you very much. Your Holiness, distinguished guests here on the dais, members and friends of the Ahmadiyyan movement of Islam. You know, I appreciate Batar Rahman Mosque inviting me back because I was here 1 year and 9 months ago for the day. And I want to compliment you, those in the community especially, for the fact that you have been such good neighbors. I know that you have engaged in helping the needy, whether it be food on the table, whether it be a habitat, a place to sleep, whether it would be other spiritual and counseling needs. And so I do want you to know that your reputation has been made by hard work, by generosity, and by love. Now here, as we celebrate the 48th National Convention here in the United States at the largest Ahmadiyya mosque in the United States, we are very honored to have His Holiness here. His Holiness, you know, was born in the town in the Punjab that I visited only about 2 months ago, maybe a little less than that. And so it is particularly eventful to have him here. He is a man who, as you know, has so magnificently led 10 million people from 155 countries. He is a man of tremendous strength, a man of tremendous commitment, a man who has written prolifically advice and guidance, and a man of peace, and a man of love. And I commend him and what he has brought to the movement in that regard. You know, our state of Maryland, where this mosque is, was founded on religious toleration. It was in 1634 when 120 people left England to come to Maryland for religious freedom, a freedom they did not have where they were from. The Religious Toleration Act was one of the first acts in the United States of America to give the concept of freedom to worship, freedom from worship, freedom to worship as each man or woman desires. in the United States. Now, as we begin to celebrate in the United States our independence and the beginning of a nation, which will happen we will commemorate on July 4th, I think it comes at a significant time for us to renew our resolution that we will not be party to bigotry, to hatred, to crime, to treating those that we don't know as though they are enemies. And we have seen this particular time where it is so easy to blame a group for something that a few erratic, sick people have been involved in. It is too easy at this time to have burnings of religious institutions because of some people who are just not all there mentally. And we must come together, whether we're talking about one religion versus another religion, whether we're talking about one group versus another group, one part of a country or one part of the world versus another part of the world. We are one world. There was an English poet years ago, a man named John Donne. He wrote a famous meditation, which was something like, no man, and I would add, or woman, is an island. We are all connected to each other. And when one person suffers a sorrow or a death, we all suffer that sorrow or that death. When a person celebrates joy, we all celebrate that joy and uplifting. So I think it is something for us to bear in mind as you and I and all of us in this tent of spiritualism, because of those of you who are here and because of your commitment, that we renew our resolution that there will be peace and there will be love, as His Holiness's book has espoused. There will be love in the world, which is what brings all our religions together. So I thank you very much for the honor of being with you again and celebrate this.
Our next speaker is Mr. Isaiah Leggett, Council Member at Large, Montgomery County. Mr. Isaiah Leggett is the Council Member at Large for the Montgomery County Council. He has been serving the Montgomery County Council for the last 10 years. Mr. Leggett has been active in a number of community activities for the betterment of the citizens of Montgomery County, Maryland. Isaiah Leggett serves on the law school faculty at Howard University in Washington, D.C. Mr. Isaiah Leggett has long been a friend to the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, and I have the pleasure to introduce Mr. Isaiah Leggett.
Your Holiness, distinguished guests, many friends, all of those who are assembled here today, and as I note now throughout the world, I want to say proudly, you are welcome in Montgomery County, Maryland. I go back many years, long before we had the dedication, at the time when many citizens throughout this community questioned whether or not this is a place and location to build them out. I was involved in the intricate details with many of you to ensure that we had it constructed, to go through the permitting process, and to rebut many of those throughout this community who thought this could not happen and that this could not be a success. It is a success because you made it a success. You are an integral part of this community. We welcome you here. I hope and pray that you continue to spread the love, the peace, and the community goodwill throughout all of Montgomery County, throughout all the United States, to demonstrate to all of those that you are a peace-loving, community-oriented, spiritual, divine community that we welcome and that we want here as part of this very diverse community of Montgomery County. I want to simply congratulate you, to welcome you, in hopes that I will be here again for many of your future celebrations, and to ensure you that you have a friend here in Montgomery County to make certain that we continue the road to progress and to peace. Thank you very much.
Miss Ellen Sawbury. Miss Ellen Sawbury has represented her district in the Maryland House of Delegates from 1978 to 1974. In 1986, she was chosen by her colleagues to become the minority leader in the House of Delegates. Miss Ellen Sawbury served in that capacity for the next 8 years. In 1994, Ms. Ellen Sawbury ran for governor, coming within 0.4% of winning. She was recently elected to the Republican National Committee as the National Committee woman representing Maryland. I am proud to introduce to you the Honorable Ellen Sawbury.
Your Holiness, guests, distinguished guests, visitors from all over the United States, visitors from around the world, members of the Amadeus movement, we welcome you to the state of Maryland. We appreciate the values that you have brought to our country. We appreciate the fact that you are part of the spiritual and moral awakening of America. You have a reputation for being unified, organized, dedicated, hard workers. The fruits of your labor can be seen right here in the beautiful mosque that you have built, which is a symbol of all that you stand for. You have a reputation of working hard through an interfaith movement to build bridges to other cultures and religions. We share, no matter who or what we call our God, we share a belief in peace, in love, in respect, and tolerance for one another's views. You bring with you to this country the greatest values that have made America a great society. A love of family, an understanding of how important families are to strong communities, entrepreneurial spirit that has built, helping every day to build our economy to make it stronger, and an understanding that you too must be a part of the great dynamic political process of this country. Whether you choose to do that as a Democrat or a Republican, we have much to learn from you. And we welcome you, we cherish you, and we want you to be actively involved in everything that we do in this great country and to help us make America a better place. Great success to you in your future, and it is my honor that you have invited me to be with you for this 48th conference.
I want to share with all of you our pleasure by informing you that the whole world is watching this program. It's not just local. MTA is booming the whole world over. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Congressperson Tony Morella, Council Member Isaiah Leggett, Mrs. Ellen Sarbury, and all the distinguished guests. And when I say all the distinguished guests, I mean all of you. I want to address you on a subject which, of all the people the Ahmadiyya community needs most to understand and practice. So my primary address is to the members of the Ahmadiyya community, but because the message is universal, and although I'll quote often the verses of the Quran and the traditions of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah, yet the message is universal. It does not relate to Islam alone. As such, all the world is addressed, but primarily, as I said, I address those Ahmadis who have pledged at my hand that they will obey me in everything good. It is said that once a king on a hunting expedition was separated during the chase from his party, and he was left alone by himself, and he was feeling very thirsty after the tiring day. While searching for some place of shelter or help, he noticed a beautiful orchard right in the middle of the bush. And he approached the house and knocked at the door. The master of the house and the farm was not there, but a beautiful damsel answered the call and inquired what she could do for the visitor. She must have noticed that it was a royal guest, but she hid it from his knowledge and asked him to sit in the waiting room, whatever it was, offered him a seat of honor and begged his permission
to run for bringing him a glass of juice prepared from the fresh fruit of her own orchard. That is what the king wanted. So she came back in a very short time with a large glass full of juice from the fresh fruits of the garden, and it was so delicious, so satiating, that the king enjoyed every sip and then requested for another glass. So she went and disappeared in the house. It took her a very long time this time to return with a glass full of the juice. Amazed, the king asked her, why was the first glass filled so soon? And why the second glass took so long to be filled? And how many fruits went into the first glass, and how many were pressed for preparing the second one? He said, for the first glass it took only 2 or 3 fruits of our garden to fill the whole glass. For the second one, it took about 10 or 20. The king was amazed. He said, what do you mean by that? He said, what I mean by that is that when the intentions of the king go wrong, when the fruits are deprived of their juice, and when the intentions are healthy, then the fruits are full of healthy juice. When you arrived here first, you did not have any mal intentions, but during sipping the first glass, I noticed that you were wondering whether your taxes were appropriate or not, whether the tax should be increased, because just a fruit or 2 was sufficient to fill the glass, so the margin of profit must be tremendous. So contemplating, I noticed, increase of taxes perhaps. And this is the malintention which dried the juice of our fruit. The king returned a very enriched man in wisdom. And this is a message of deep and profound wisdom. This is exactly what is referred to by Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam when he advises us that innamal a'malu binniyat. Your deeds, your actions will be judged only by the intentions which precede them. That is one meaning. And the other is that your deeds and actions would become fruitful and beneficial only if the intentions which precede them are good and beneficial. Now this is the dilemma which the whole world faces today. There is another saying about intentions which runs as the path to hell is paved with the bricks of good intentions. But there is no contradiction in this and what I have said before. Whatever the intentions be, the man who intends always tries to cover his intentions with a promise that the intentions are for good purpose. And this is the first lie which begins in the heart at the roots of intentions, which pollutes the human relationship all over the world. Whether it is a man-to-man personal relationship, or whether it's a nation-to-nation relationship, whether we talk of United Nations or bilateral relationship between countries and countries, this is what you'll find invariably. The purported intentions are different, and the intentions which are presented to be the real one are most often different. And this is an area where man should know but seldom recognizes it. The failure of man to recognize it is what is causing all the problems all over the world in not only human relationships, but in the relationship in the family, the relationship between father and children, mother and children, sister and brother. Everywhere this lies at the root cause is disturbing the health, polluting the air of human relationships. Now when you look at a child who is bickering, who is crying for something which the mother does not want to give him, she will say, just wait a minute, I'll bring that to you. And she will try to lull him to sleep if he is an infant, a small child, and under the impression that she means to carry the promise to fulfillment. How seldom are such promises carried to fulfillment. So the lie which is born in the hearts of the elders is so imperceptibly, but successfully, transferred to the hearts of the infants, the future generation. This is how we take care of our progeny, in reality. But we can know, yet we do not want to know. We shut our eyes to this reality. This is what the Holy Quran has referred to as بَلِ الْإِنسَانُ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ لَبَصِيرَةٌ بَلِ الْإِنسَانُ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ بَصِيرَةٌ وَلَوْ أَلْقَى مَعَاذِيرًا. The truth is that man knows what is passing in his heart, if he ever attempted to know. He can know, but he hides his intention with ma'azi, with excuses, goodly excuses, good-looking excuses, which cover, in fact, his own intentions from his own conscious awareness. But he is capable to deeply reach within his heart. Now this is what is most needed by the world today. At every stage, at every level, and in every area of human communication with others, and the so-called excellent relationship. Now this word relationship, I realize, is coming too often, but there is no alternative, at least to me, for this, and it will have to be repeated, so kindly bear with me, even if it jars your sensibilities, please. All the speeches in the United Nations, which you may ever have heard, all the speeches between bilateral relationships, which you may have heard, delivered on the issue of Kashmir, for instance, from India, Indian leadership, from Pakistan leadership, they do not relate to the truth of the subject at all. They relate, if they had related, then the real debate could begin. But it relates to their purported intentions. Both say we are doing it only for the sake of the liberation of Kashmiris, fighting for their rights. But do they really do it for that cause? Is not there, hidden beneath this purported intention, the concept of a territorial gain, the concept of a domination extended to another neighbor area? Now, I do not want to insult anybody. That's not at all the purpose of this address. But I want to talk in generalities and draw the attention of man that human relationships cannot be improved, can never be conceived to become healthy at all, if this polluting cause, poison, is not removed from our intention. The major problem is that the intentions lie hidden from not only others, but most often from the man himself who holds such intentions. And this is an area where the observer cannot reach. So do we have a right to declare everyone to be a liar just because we know this is a human weakness? What a beautiful book the Quran is. It protects the rights of the people to believe in whatever they may and to think whatever they entertain in their hearts to be beautiful. Yet a time would come when man will be adjudged. And that is the time of resurrection and after resurrection to which God repeatedly draws the attention of man. You may think you have done wonderful things. The Holy Quran says, كَذَلِكَ زَيَّنَّا لِكُلِّ أُمَّةٍ عَمَلَهُمْ ثُمَّ إِلَىٰ رَبِّهِمْ مَرْجِعُهُمْ وَيُنَبِّئُهُم بِمَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. Like thus we have made to appear everything which man holds to and what he intends the others to believe, that this is what his religion is, may seem to be so attractive to all those who present their inner self in a covered up, dressed form to look beautiful to others. This is what they present. And the Holy Quran tells us you have no right to give a lie to their intentions. You don't know them. In principle, the Holy Quran has explained the possibilities, the dangers attendant upon all the intentions and the lie which sometimes grows with them from the very soil from which it sprouts. Yet the Holy Quran says, كَذَلِكَ زَيَّنَّا لِكُلِّ أُمَّةٍ عَمَلَهُمْ. But we have made people to love what they are, love what they think they are. Let them love themselves, but a day would come and Allah would let them know who really had done good deeds and who really was involved in the pursuit of evil. So despite the fact that the Holy Quran is very clear and manifest on the assertion that the danger of the danger to the health of human relationships lies buried deep in the heart. Yet it does not give the right to anyone to criticize others by judging his intentions without any proof, unless the intentions are implemented in a manner that they offer a substantial proof to others that these so-called intentions were not really the true intentions of the person, because what has followed contradicts the intentions. That is the only area where the Holy Quran gives right to the people to deny the validity of others' intentions, not otherwise. And it is the same thing. This has also been pointed out by the Messiah, Jesus Christ, when he says that man would be judged, the tree would be judged by the fruits it bears. Here, it's exactly the opposite view of what we began with. I was talking of diseases at the roots. Jesus Christ is talking of the fruits born to diseased roots, trees of diseased roots. So he informs us that you can criticize the fruit indeed, and you have the right to judge the intentions by the quality of the fruit. But this is the only way we can peep into the hearts of people. When the intentions are realized and present a solid, incontrovertible proof, that this is what was really intended, which has come to bear a fruit, good or bad, then of course we have a right to discuss, but on that level alone, what he did. This teaching of Islam is universal in the sense that it knows no dividing religious boundaries, national boundaries, racial boundaries. It's common to man at every level. So this is a very important area of human interest, which is seldom paid proper attention to. All the world leaders which come to the World Forum always declare that their intentions are the very best ones. They want to do something for the goodness of others, for the goodness of man as such. And as such, because the intentions are good, they're entitled to carry them out, despite the fact that there is a clash of interest between them and some other countries. And the justification for carrying out the intended plan into action, which is always given, is that how can we sacrifice our interests whenever our interests are jeopardized, when they are threatened. We have fundamental human right to see to it that all the dangers to our interests are removed and rooted out. But seldom do they realize that there is another party also involved, who also is live, who also has some interest. How will you judge between the priority of the interest of one country and the interest of the other? The only possible criterion would be truth. So the message of today would be truth. But truth must begin at the roots. If the truth does not lie at the root level of intention, nothing which will result from this would be called true. But the problem is, we cannot reach the intentions, but every man can himself reach his own intentions. That is why the Holy Quran declares it's not very difficult, it's not too difficult. بَلِ الْإِنسَانُ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ بَصِيرَةٌ وَلَوْ الْخَوَاجِ. The man stands witness against his own self, however much excuses he may put forward. So my advice first is to the Ahmadis. They must begin and a search at the heart of their level, at the level of their heart, and deeper still, at the very profound recesses of their heart, where the intentions breathe. If they are not watchful, if they are not careful, if they do not know how to introspect themselves, little can be expected of them to create a healthy atmosphere in the world. Little can be expected of them to create an impression, a powerful impression on the leaders of the world, so that they realize that this is the only course to redemption. All of the roads lead to hell paved with the bricks of good intention. But which hell? Are we talking of the hell to come after resurrection, in the hereafter? The Holy Quran makes no such distinction. When it speaks of bad intentions and the evil fruits they bear, it speaks of a punishment beginning here on this earth. So this is the most important issue to be born in the minds of all Ahmadis, particularly, and also to teach to others the same. That it is we who are going to make our hell here on earth first. The hell which will follow in the hereafter will be just a different form of the same hell we have prepared here. It is a material hell we're talking about on earth. That will be a spiritual hell. And remember, the intentions and actions are interrelated exactly in the same ratio. What intentions are, they are spiritual aspects of human life. It is where the life begins to exercise itself. It is where the life begins to command the body, the brain, and everything that belongs to man. And it is the cumulative effect of this which builds nations and national leadership. So, the hell which our intentions create for the physical body and the material aspects of human life will be punished here as far as the material aspects and the physical bodies are concerned. So the intentions are not physical, they're not material. So they must also be punished in the end in the spiritual way. This is the meaning of creation of our hell here on earth and the creation of a same hell once again in the hereafter. It's a very important aspect which relates to both of our lives. It is convincing not only to the believers but also to the non-believers, to the atheists. Because here in this world, on this earth, they know that their intentions always say ever to the people. So they have wisdom enough, they have authority authoritative enough to introspect themselves and indulge in a self-study at a deeper level. Now here is an area of common interest to many philosophies and religions, particularly in Buddhism and also in the yogic concepts of Hinduism. There are emphasis on delving deeper into one's own self to find the truth. Seldom do the people know the meaning of this, delving deep into one's own self. Some people overmuch idealize this, and they think that by sitting quietly and silently in a certain posture, trying to reach the inner self and emptying their mind of everything else but to reach the inner truth, that is the message of the yoga or the such exercises of self-contemplation when they began at the level of the founders of those religions. It is certainly wrong. The journey they refer to, the journey which begins with the search for inner follies and faults. The faults which lie hidden from man himself, deep into him, to the level of his intention. This introspective exercise is the only exercise which can bear fruit of wisdom. If you are not aware of it, then you can contemplate all your life. You will get nothing. Know yourself. Identify your person by searching for your weaknesses within you. By the temptations which are capable of misleading you. And if you identify your person with truth, and it is here that the importance of truth can never be overemphasized. If you have the quality of that justice in you, where you can judge yourself as critically as you judge others. To judge others critically is most often an empty exercise which may not lead you to truth at all. Because when you judge others with a critical view, you always tend to exaggerate the fault of the other person you are observing. So, you are negative, you have attitude in judging others. When you judge yourself, you also have a negative attitude, but lying on the other side of the spectrum. In the case of judging others, you judge them unjustly by extending your mind into their thoughts and reading things which were not there, for which you are not entitled, of which you are not capable. So you reject their intentions at all levels without justifiably examining their validity, which you cannot anyway. Only if you are well trained in the art of truth, in the exercise of truth. And few are the people in the world who are so trained, because, as I have pointed out, unfortunately, at the very level of their childhood, their parents have been teaching them falsehood, while admonishing them to the truth. What a fantastic contrast. What a hellish contradiction. They want their children to be good. They tell them to be good. But the manner they convey this message is false and hollow, and they fail to impress their children because children are wiser because they are not polluted. They just read the true intentions behind. They learn from their parents how to deceive, and they begin to deceive the parents in response. So if this is our breeding ground, universally, again, I must emphasize, I'm not talking about Pakistan, Canada, America and things. It has no relationship whatsoever with geographical boundaries and the national characters, etc. I'm talking of man, universally. It's found everywhere in the world in this other same type. So this is what we do to our children everywhere. And when we reach maturity, when we reach adulthood, then we begin to judge others with falsehood. We begin to judge ourselves with falsehood, but in a different way. To give full margin, even beyond reasonable limits, to ourselves for doing something. And we always cover up our own actions by false pretension. It is so common. It is found at the root level of human personality, the building of human personality. And so common that seldom can you declare a man to be free from this. Why don't you ever try to test yourself, having been caught for others? What would be your first reaction? If you're caught in an action which seems to be a source of shame for you, you will immediately come out to this truth. Without thinking, it will be a natural response. And the excuse will always tend to cover your folly and giving it and clothing it with a good intention. You know, I did it not for that purpose, but for that purpose. And it is this area which is where man is concealed from himself, but not concealed in the sense that he cannot reach the truth, the underlying truth. If you ever start practicing it, whenever you have done something and somebody says, is that what you do? You say, no, this is not the intention. You're talking against somebody and suddenly it chances upon you, surprises you, and you say, you see, I was telling them this with the intention of telling them your real goodness, not your bad character. And you build the spirit so rapidly, at the speed of light perhaps, because you don't know the lying interval between the falsehood and how it was built within you. You cannot separate those moments. But if you learn how to surprise yourself by catching yourself at such a moment when others are observing you, then you will begin the journey to truth. People's view change with their vantage points. Now, it's not only the area of wrong, unjustified criticism of others, it's also the area of inflated praises of the others. Because both are falsehood, both are lies. You inflate your own national image and character with such pride, and you impress all the viewers, but only for a while. The realities always follow suit at the weight of the intended noble intention and lofty ambition. And they always, unfortunately, contradict what has been claimed. So we live a lie. That is the problem. How to get rid of that? That is the question. It's a hard exercise. It's not just a promise of the yogic philosophy that you delve deeper into you and there you will find the truth. How to reach the truth? What is the journey which is needed for reaching the truth? It can only begin in search of your own faults and your own falsehoods. Once you succeed in doing it, then you will emerge with the eternal truth, the truth and nothing but the truth. That is what we claim we are created for. Do we genuinely believe in this noble purpose of our creation as Ahmadi Muslim Jamaat? If we do, how do we prove this with the subsequent actions? Just to praise ourselves as people who are better than others is only a hollow exercise of winning praise, even when it is true. It is just a hollow exercise. What you need to do is to demonstrate to the world that you can admit falsehood, even if it is within you. You can swallow the bitter pill of truth, even when it is against your interest. If you reach that quality, only then you are entitled to praise yourself and present yourself in the image which you have built of yourself. So knowing the dangers of this area of self-praise or the praise of the people you belong to, the Holy Quran reminds us, admonishes us, وَلَا تُزَكُّوا أَنفُسَهُمْ هُوَ أَعْلَمُ بِمَنِ اتَّقَى. Don't praise yourself by telling the world that you are pious enough and you have rid yourself of all defects and faults. Only Allah knows. He alone knows who is pious and who is noble deep within. So the exercise which I required from you to abandon is of false praise where the truth is not deep-rooted. You must tell the others what you really are. You must not over-exaggerate your goodness, because anyway you will be discovered. It's impossible to hide the truth for some time or even for a short time. Very soon people come to realize what you really are. And that is what the critical eyes of the newcomers to Ahmadiyyat are going to do to you. They are not yet trained to judge themselves from the vantage point of truth alone. The newcomers are not yet trained to judge others with justice and honesty. They come with exaggerated concepts. If they come with exaggerated concept of what you are, then they will be justified in condemning you and censuring you for a behavior which does not behove the claim you make. So it will make the task of transformation of the whole world into a better place the more difficult. So I'm talking of deep-seated reality. Begin the journey by self-criticism. Be aware that this is what you want to impart to the whole world. And it is only here that the redemption of the world lies. Nowhere else. From a place of good hope, I'm not being pessimistic at all. I'm drawing your attention to the only ray of hope which can deliver the mankind from the agony of hell which mankind is creating for itself. So first produce a model yourself of truth. Learn to live with the truth in your family, in your relationship as father's relationship to the wife and the children, and a mother's relationship to the husband and the children, and the mutual relationship at the level of children. If you are conscious right from the beginning that truth it is, which is the elixir of life, and nothing but truth, then you can build a community upon whom the future of the life of the world will depend. It's not at all thing. This is the reality of life, a substantial reality. But if you ignore your responsibilities in the area of training your own children in the manner I am suggesting, then you have lost hope in yourself. How could you be of service to the mankind? How could they pin their hopes upon you who are hopeless? So the message may be deep and intricate, but it is the simplest message that will be delivered to you. Learn to be true, because the task which lies ahead is tremendous. You are a small nonentity, nothing. If you hear the praises of the generous people who come to attend to your conferences, it is their goodness, it is their wisdom, it is their greatness which is reflected in their compliments to you, not your greatness, not in the sense of real terms. They praise your conduct, of course, generally, and I know Ahmadis can say at least this much with full confidence, that in comparison, their conduct in human relationship is better and higher place than the conduct of all other people we know. Only that much we can claim with truth. But to hear praises of your bigness and greatness does not change the reality of our smallness. Very small, insignificant people. If we are ignored by the great leaders of the countries where we live, we shall justifiably be ignored. After all, what we are, a few thousand in the multitudinous sea of American people. A few thousand who do not share their power at any level, who are not wealthy enough to create an impression on a materialistic society. You are fed upon the kindness of others. You are just infants fed on the milk of humankind. But the infants cannot bring about any change in the world. Your greatness, I realize, I know, there is some greatness which belongs to you. which you must belong to, and that is the greatness of truth. If you are equipped with this greatness, then I can guarantee you a secure future, a future which can never be jeopardized by the animosity of those who do not agree with you. Herein lies our survival, because truth and God are one and the same thing. And it is the oneness with God which protects you, which can protect you, and which shall protect you. Speaking of the calamities of the world prophesied by Masih Maud al-Islam, the founder of the Ahmadiyya community, he points out that आग है पर आग से वो सब बचाए जाएंगे जो कि रखते हैं खुदाए जुल अजायब से प्यार. It is fire, it is hell which I see. But I assure you that all those who have the true love of God in their heart will most certainly be saved from this hellfire man is preparing for himself. Then again, Hazrat Masih Maud points out of his own attitude when the ravings of the enemy go beyond all limits, when their intentions to destroy him really become threatening. Hazrat Masih Maud says, Adu jab bar gaya shoro fuwa mein, niha hum ho gaye yare niha mein. When the enemy passed all limits in the noises which the enemy made against us, the propaganda which it carried, the malintentions which the enemy entertained, when they rose from his heart, jumped upon us to destroy us, niha hum ho gaye yare niha. We hid deep into our eternal friend, the God. No enemy could reach a person covered from all sides of God. This is the meaning of truth joining truth, truth drowning in truth. But he's talking of reality. As Masih Maud is not building an image of himself which is not right, which is not true. He could never have thought of it unless he had experienced it. It's an idea which is not found elsewhere in the poetry, any human poetry. It is not poetry. This is what differs truth from poetry, while it is expressed in poetic terms. Yet the Holy Quran creates a line of demarcation between that poetic expression, which is entirely true, and the poetry which knows no truth, is not bound to any limitations by the principles of truth. So this is what you must know, what you must know and you must do. The only safety for Ahmadiyya lies not in building human friendship, but lies in building your friendship with God. That is the only security which I can offer you. Whether you are born Ahmadis or the new convert, if you ignore this, you will lose your life, the spiritual life I mean. You will be of no value to God. You will be written off. But that is what I believe is not going to happen. That is what I believe is not going to happen, because we are trying with all earnestness to achieve truth. Our failures, we hope, will be forgiven as long as the intentions are true, The intentions may be true, but they cannot be implemented if they are too difficult to be implemented. Man falters, man fails here and there, but what is needed is the intention must be true. Then it is the hand of God which prays into ultimate. Then the material achievements or the achievements of your spiritual intent do not come to fruition when he achieves them in entirety. On the way to his destination, if he is well intended, lies his redemption at every second of his journey from falsehood to truth. So that is why I said, I know the weaknesses among us, but I also realize from the signs of sacrifice of our Ahmadiyya community, by the expression of their love which is so genuine, so profound, not only for God, but for mankind, as such, I know their intentions are true and good. But you must continuously watch them with jealousy. Let not any disease feed upon them. Because if you're not consciously aware of the reality that all roots are attacked by the viruses and bacteria and all sorts of worms and things, and it is there that the death of the tree is felt, and nothing can be done after the roots are diseased. So we have a healthy start. We have a healthy start in the person of Masih Maud. And he looks at you as the healthy branches of his tree, the health of whose roots is guaranteed by God. So expecting things from you, or great things from you, he says, O mere darakht wujud ki sab shakh. O the green bough of the tree of my existence. As long as you are hooked, as long as you are grafted on firmly to this tree of truth, which is Masih Maud, I guarantee no harm can ever come your way. Even if you have not achieved yet the purpose of the journey, you have not reached the destination to which you are crawling or creeping, I promise you, on the authority of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, speaking of this subject of people abandoning evil habits, moving towards goodness, he tells us that there was such a person who was attempting to leave the city. He's talking of a spiritual migration. And the innamal amalu bin niyate, the tradition which I have read, it is related to that. He says he deeply, truly intended to leave the bad habits by which he was surrounded completely. So he started traveling from the city of evil to the city of goodness, but he was too weak. He could not make it up enough in his life. And less than halfway, much earlier, he lost his strength to walk. And he fell to the ground and began to creep towards the city of salvation, inch by inch, until death overtook him. His case was presented to God by the angels. God said, lay here the distance between the city of salvation and him, and between the city of evil and him. And judge by the distance, whichever is shorter, count him to that city, in that city. And the angels, when they measured, their yardsticks began to elongate. when they were measuring the distance between his body and the city of salvation. And in very few measures, but when they started measuring the distance of his body from the city of evil, God so ordained. And squeezed into small things. And so many were counted between the evil city and his body where he lay. Thus Allah also finds excuses, and these are the excuses of good intentions. They appear to be false, but therein lies the truth of God's forgiveness, the greatness of God's forgiveness. So depending on this, I assure you, keep on moving from the city of evil to the city of redemption, truth, and goodness. At whichever second, at whichever moment you'll die a successful person in the path of Allah. Allah bless you. And with that, I take leave of you. Now let us join in silent prayer, please. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. All the Ziyafat workers, Washington, New York, Philadelphia, all Ziyafat workers, please report to your duty immediately.